Breaking news. Kim Jong-un lays wreath on 65th anniversary of Korean War armistice as U.S. troops returned. Kim Jong-un has laid a wreath at the Martyrs Cemetery of the Chinese People's Volunteers in central North Korea to mark the 65th anniversary of the Korean War armistice as the remains of U.S. soldiers are being returned to America via South Korea. The North Korea leader was pictured laying a beautiful colored flower wreath at the cemetery in South Gyeonggi Province. Kim Jong-un stood before a huge statue of an armed North Korean soldier as he paid his respects to the war dead. North Korea's state media KCNA reported, Kim Jong-un said that the Korean people would as ever take pride in having the credible fraternal country and the great friend like the People's Republic of China. The Korea War armistice was signed on July 21, 1953 after 3 years of war and was designed to ensure a complete cessation of hostilities and of all acts of armed force in Korea until a final peaceful settlement is achieved. The two Koreas are technically still at war because a peace treaty was never signed. The armistice was signed by representatives from the UN, Korean People's Army and the Chinese People's Army. Kim Jong-un also attended a ceremony at Fatherland Liberation War Martyrs Cemetery in Pyongyang where he met with participants of the 5th National Conference of War Veterans. The North Korean dictator also laid another wreath at the cemetery. To mark the anniversary, North Korea transferred 55 small, flag-draped cases carrying the suspected remains of U.S. soldiers killed in the Korean War on Friday, officials said. The pledge to transfer war remains was missing in the 1950-53 conflict seen as a goodwill gesture by Kim Jong-un at his June summit with Donald Trump. President Trump on his Twitter account said, "After so many years, this will be a great moment for so many families. Thank you to Kim Jong-un." A White House statement earlier said, "We are encouraged by North Korea's actions and the momentum for positive change." A U.S. military transport plane flew to an airfield in North Korea's northeastern city of Wonsan to bring the remains to Osan Air Base in South Korea, the White House statement said. Soldiers in dress uniforms with white gloves were seen slowly carrying 55 small cases covered with the blue and white UN insignia, placing them one by one into silver vans waiting on the tarmac in Osan. Straight-backed officers looked on next to the flags of the United States, South Korea and the United Nations. A formal repatriation ceremony would be held at Osan on Wednesday, the White House said. The remains would then be flown to Hawaii for further processing under the U.S. Defense POW counting agency, the UN command said in a statement. More than 7,700 U.S. troops who fought in the Korean War remain unaccounted for, with about 5,300 of those lost in what is now North Korea. Before Friday's transfer of remains, the United States and North Korea had worked on so-called joint field activities to recover Korean War remains from 1996-2005. Washington halted those operations, citing concerns about the safety of its personnel as Pyongyang stepped up its nuclear program. More than 400 caskets of remains found in North Korea were returned to the United States between the 1990s and 2005s. With the bodies of some 330 other Americans also accounted for, according to the Defense POW counting agency. Pentagon officials have said discussions with North Korea have included resuming field operations in the north to recover remains. The program helped bring in vital hard currency to North Korea, which has been under U.-led sanctions for decades. However, reviving it could complicate U.S. efforts to persuade countries around the world to maintain economic pressure on Pyongyang over its ballistic and nuclear programs.